everybody, Yankee here. You know, one thing that fascinates a lot of people in the gun community, apparently, is when guns go kaboom. And a lot of people wonder, why do some guns go kaboom? One such person asked me in the comment section of one of my videos the other day, what causes this? What causes a gun to just explode? And they also said, and why do Kel-Tecs do it so often? Well, that's actually kind of a misconception there. Kel-Tecs do not kaboom. Not very often. You don't find guns these days that explode because of their own issues. It's usually one of two issues that makes a gun go kaboom, actually explode, send parts flying everywhere, the barrel shatters, the slide breaks, things like that. Real catastrophic failures that are dangerous to the shooter. That's an actual kaboom. Kel-Tecs don't do that. They self-disassemble. Usually the barrel and the chamber stay intact. It's just the rest of the gun that decides to migrate to freedom every time you fire the gun. They get a little bit further and further away from each other, then they finally make a break for it. So that's what Kel-Tecs do. They self-disassemble. They're just bad quality, but they don't really kaboom. That would be too dangerous and cause too much liability for the company. They wouldn't be able to market them if they kaboomed. Since they just fall apart, they can market them, and if people actually shoot them till they do fall apart, which means shoot them, they just replace them. There's no liability involved there. If they were kabooming, that'd be a different issue. So even Kel-Tecs don't kaboom. It's very rare that you find a gun that kabooms, and like I said, there's usually two causes, and both of them are user error. Now, I'm not saying that some guns aren't trash and don't explode. I had an old Jennings. I've had a couple of them. Those were trash. Those would explode way back in the day. But those were brought into the country by fly-by-night companies that really would just disappear if there was any real liability, and most of the people buying them never shot them, so it was never really an issue. And those would explode. I once sold a Jennings that I had and never fired for $25. And when the person buying it says, how does he know it's never been fired? I said, well, because it's still in one piece. The barrel hasn't exploded. So it obviously hasn't been fired. So there are crappy old guns that will blow up. But most people aren't seeing those guns nowadays. And those guns wouldn't really do well in today's market. The liability would be too great. And, there's also cases of guns that are just old that weren't really bad guns in their day. But, after years of use and abuse, they finally give up the ghost. Metal stretches over time. It warps over time. It fractures. So something that's been in service for a very long time can eventually, like I said, give up. And that does happen. One thing I've seen happen quite a bit with rifles that I've actually seen myself happen is the barrels become bent. Someone stores them in a way or treats them in a way that causes the barrel to become slightly bent, and then the gun ends up blowing up. And it's usually because of one of the main reasons guns blow up, and we'll get into that in a second. So, use and abuse of a good gun can even make them eventually explode. But most of us aren't shooting crappy old guns. We're smarter than that, although I do have some scars over my right eyebrow where one of my uncles once fired an old Iver Johnson, and we used to fire a lot of old questionable guns when I was a kid, and we all survived, and none of them blew up and killed us. At least I don't think they did. This could be a simulation now for all I know, and I'm living in a tube somewhere, and I'm nothing but a head. But with scars over their eyebrow. But like I was saying, he shot an old Iver Johnson once that was so old, abused, and out of time that when he fired it, when he pulled the trigger and I was standing next to him, it looked like a lead miniature water balloon exploded. It shot so much lead out, it was so out of time. And it burnt me on my eyebrows. But the gun still didn't explode. Because, they just usually don't do that. So now, why do guns explode? What is the most common reasons that guns today kaboom? Well, like I said, it's user error. The first one is people who want to push the limits. They're like, factory ammo sucks. I hand load and I take whatever Sammy tells me and I double it because I'm a man and I can handle it. Those kind of people. And you see them blow up their guns because they basically build little bombs and stick them in their firearms. You see this a lot with Ruger revolvers because you have these guys that, one, think that they know better than the experts who build the weapons and stuff and can load them as high as they want because they can take it and because they think Rugers are indestructible, which they're not. They're sturdy, but they're not indestructible. They think because they're thicker, you can't damage them. Yeah, yes, you can. And the most The gun that I've seen kaboom the most because of people overloading the cartridges are Rugers. Just look through the internet, look for kabooms. You'll see Ruger Red Hawk, Ruger Black Hawk, Ruger Red Hawk, Ruger Black Hawk, Ruger Red, again, and again. Ruger after Ruger. There's other guns too, of course, because idiots don't just own Rugers. Idiots own everything. And I believe every idiot should be able to own whatever they want. I don't believe in infringing on the rights of idiots. I think everyone knows that. I just don't want to be around them. That's why I stay home a lot. So that's one of the major reasons right there that guns go kaboom. And probably, I don't know if it's the major one or if this next one is actually more common. And that is squib loads. Squib loads cause so many guns to go kaboom. I would say, and I'm basing this only on personal experience, but I would say the majority of failures that result in an explosion in a firearm that I have witnessed personally have come from squib loads. And for those of you who don't know, squib loads is kind of the opposite of the people that overload. These are people that either underload their ammo or they shoot ammo that's become not good. It was either not great to begin with, or it's gotten wet or damp or something. And now it just doesn't have the power it needs to have. So it doesn't actually create enough energy for the bullet to fully exit the barrel. That bullet stops somewhere in that barrel. And that causes a blockage. And the next round you fire, all that energy has nowhere to go. That bullet's not going out the end of the barrel. The energy's not going out the end of the barrel. It's all backed up. So kaboom. You get a kaboom. And often I've seen this with like 3 or 4 bullets in the barrel before it actually does go kaboom. So it's not like it's going to happen the first time you do it. So be careful with squib loads, because I think that is probably the number one reason guns go kaboom. I've spent many an hour with a stick, a dowel and a hammer, hammering bullets back out of barrels. What really sucks is when they get almost to the end, because if it's a revolver, you got to pound it out from this end. You can't pound it from the other end, so you got to pound it from this end, so you got to pound it all the way back. And I spent so much time doing that, and it is not fun. And then you're always worried, crap, is my barrel damaged? Now, if you only fire 1, you probably won't damage your barrel. But if you fire 2, very likely to damage your barrel. That's when you see those little bulges in the barrel. And I've had that happen to me because I wasn't paying attention. You feel like, wait, did that even fire? And then you pull the trigger again. And that's a stupid thing to do, but I've been known to do stupid things. I've done them in the past, and I'll probably do some tomorrow, if not today. But those are the reasons guns go kaboom more often. It's not because they're poor quality. Even these days, most poor quality guns just fall apart. They don't kaboom. They don't explode and hurt you. To make them explode nowadays, you got to go to extraordinary measures. You either got to really reload that ammo heavy, and that even takes usually a consistent diet of that to make the gun go kaboom, or you do something like have a squib load and then continue to fire. Those are the most common reasons your guns are going to explode. So if you don't do either of those things, you're probably never going to experience a kaboom. And believe me, that's a good thing.